Okay, let us get into things here. I'm going to present now and get into things. And if you have questions, please pop them into chat and we can start rocking and rolling. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is LinkedIn outreach essentially the right way. So you should see my screen here. I'm now in presentation mode, so I should be full screen. It looks good. And what we're going to be doing is essentially talking about how to use DMs the right way and how to actually book sales calls from your DMs. DMs on LinkedIn are sort of my pet peeve. I'll get into my background in a second, but I'm a copywriter and I love cold emails. I love cold outreach in general, but what people have done on LinkedIn, specifically in the DMs, is kind of ruin the inbox experience for most recipients. So we're going to look at what's wrong about that and how to quickly fix it to do the right thing, and then hopefully create some really mind-blowing stuff. I got some really good stuff for you at the towards the tail end of today. So if we haven't met yet, if this is your first time here, excuse me, my name's Dan. I've been a copywriter for a very long time. I don't like looking at that number very much, but it's closer to 20 years now. And I kind of covered the full gamut from big companies to little companies. You name the industry, I probably have worked for a client in said industry. And I used to be the head copy coach over at copywritingcourse.com, and I was the CMO at Voris. I left Voris in July. I've been on my own since then. I'm currently helping B2B founders build essentially LinkedIn funnels at Stick and Grow, my company. So, and obviously I'm still, Kyle's one of my best friends, and I am still very much hopefully supporting him with good stuff here. So with that said, let's talk about what is not working. And believe me, if you are on LinkedIn and you are really, especially if you're in some sort of C-suite position, you are probably getting a ton of outreach that is very, very jarring. And for me, I even stopped looking at my inbox at one point. It was that bad. This is the standard approach. Somebody will send a connection invite. If it gets accepted, they'll immediately get a pitch right after that. And that's it. And frankly, I don't know about you, it is not a great experience. And it's something where I really, I just see a question I have to address. Nathan, I see your question. We had to change topics last week. So at about Friday, we let everybody know we were doing a different topic. Sales playbooks are going to come up next week, I believe. They're pushed back 1 week. So anyway, with that said, the DMs here follow this framework: connection, and then sales pitch. And that's it. And the sales pitch is usually not very good. There's no context. On LinkedIn specifically, it feels even worse than a generic cold email that's not very good, that hits your inbox. There's something about it format-wise that just really, really hits the wrong way. And it's really a waste of a relationship, in my opinion. So instead of pitch slapping people, which is essentially that process, because think about it from the reader's perspective. I receive the connection request in good faith. I say, okay, this person's in my industry. Okay, cool. Let's connect. Maybe there's something valuable even from a sales perspective, but no judgment. Let's go. I say yes, and then immediately I get this thing about basically let's get on a sales call. I want to show you a demo. I want to show you all the stuff, and it's so much so fast. If you think about this, almost like any relationship, whether it's a romantic one, whether it's a friend, whether it's a business relationship, if somebody just goes a step too far too quickly, it just feels really weird and really intrusive. And that's essentially what this is. It's pitch slapping, and there's really no obvious value for the reader, for the prospect. The 3 types of DMs that go out are essentially, they end with, do you want to get on a call? So very specifically and very intrusive, sort of, let's get on a sales call. There's the vague one, which is, I would love to collaborate with you one day with our 2 companies coming together. It's kind of that strange language. And then there's the sneaky version, which is sort of, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of the industry. I'll just call it total BS. Nobody wants to hear your thoughts. Nobody certainly wants to hear my thoughts about the sales industry or something. They're doing this to get me on a sales call. So if anything, I prefer the first one because it's direct at least. But I feel like the real problem here is that people are not really basically focusing on the right things. So instead of wordsmithing and focusing on the exact, oh, do I have literally the right word in here? Should I say this word instead of that word? Should I ask an open-ended question versus asking for a call? These aren't crazy questions to ask, but the real problem is the overarching angle that you're using in your communication. And the real question here, I should have deleted that little bracket, but it's, are you being relevant? That's the real question that I want to ask is, are you being relevant? Are you sending something of value immediately, at the right time, saying the right thing to the right person? That's the real question that I have to ask for you. And it's something that I really want you to think about. Why are you sending this person outreach now? Does it make sense for them? Why should they pay attention to you now? These are real questions that people really have blockers around. And I think that if you're not considering it at all in 2024, you're doing stuff that was working maybe 20 years ago, and it doesn't have a place anymore. Imagine going up to somebody at a conference and saying, I see that you're a CMO. I need to talk to CMOs to sell them my whatever marketing solution. Would you like to see a demo call? That's literally the quality that people are going with, and it doesn't work. So let's look for a couple of quick wins here. I just want to preface the next part of this by walking through exactly how to look at I'll give you a couple of very, very specific quick wins you can do for your messaging right now. And then on number 5, I'm going to go a lot deeper, because number 5 I'm going to expand a lot. This is where we get into ChatGPT, we get into strategy. So hold on for number 5. I'm going to rip through 1 through 4 rather quickly, because these are things that you can do pretty quickly to basically improve what you're currently doing, and look for some list building techniques that you can probably do to improve your messaging almost by default. So the first thing, if you take nothing else from this, please just stop pitch flapping people if you're currently doing that. And the quickest way to do that, it's still not great communication, but it's an improvement on what most companies are doing. It's simply to wait a little bit between the connection and the actual message that you send out. Hopefully you're sending a good message and all that. But in that time, if you just wait 30 days and you're active on LinkedIn, and your prospect is relatively active on LinkedIn, just reading their content, just looking a little bit at what they're doing, you usually will find 1 or 2 opportunities to be a little bit more specific about what you're saying to them. So that little trigger to just wait for 30 days and keep an eye on what they're doing. This isn't rocket science. This is just a small improvement on what most companies are doing. And if you do this, I guarantee it's going to feel better for the prospects that you message than just saying connection, pitch, connection, pitch. I would almost bet that anybody on this call, if they're currently doing that, your conversion rates are super low. So this will immediately improve the conversion rate, the overall feeling, and the overall quality of the message that you're sending out. So let's, I'm going to keep going here for a second, but this is the possible one. If then I want to look at something where, if you look at your CXOs, basically your C-suites connections, when's the last time that you have sat down as a company and said, okay, we're going to create DMs for our CEO's contacts. We're going to create DMs for our CMO's contacts. We're going to create DMs for whichever leader is relevant to you, your director of IT, and just message them. And I'm going to give you a couple of scripts here that I guess you could copy paste them, but I'd rather you think about them as frameworks and sort of have a little, think about why these would work. These are essentially not totally cold, not exactly warm, but some sort of connection like, hey, Bob, it's been a minute. My team's working on this solution to this problem that they probably have. Would it make sense to talk? If it's coming from their account and it's coming from, or even if it's not, even if it's coming from your account, but targeting them, this is a small way to look for a slightly warmer list that you can reach out to before going crazy with the cold outreach as a company. So I think you should do this once a year. Look for the warmer connections from your C-suite, message them. And cough, cough, nudge, nudge, your C-suite should probably be creating thought leadership content on LinkedIn these days. This is the B2B direction of things. So anyway, do that, please. I'm going to take a second too. If you want to take a sec to screenshot these, I'm also going to pause. So I'm going to just do a quick pause here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, screenshots, cool. This one, you can also take a screenshot here right now if you want. And then I'm going to keep going here. And I'm going to look at DMing your inbound connections. So these are things that you can semi-automate or totally automate with a tool like Phantom Buster. But you can also just semi-automate it by having it in a Notion doc, in a Google Doc, or something. So whenever you have inbound connections coming to your leaders, this is something that you can send out. You can copy paste this in. And like I said, you can use a tool like Phantom Buster to literally automate it, or you can just do it yourself and copy paste it in for free. And this is what I would do: say, hey, thanks for reaching out. Are you here just for my content, or were you looking to, and then whatever the goal is, like improve your sales would be Voris's goal. Are you looking to maybe choose the right solution for X? Are you looking for whatever the outcome is that you provide? Just offer that there as a little teaser. You can then generate a quick conversation with the person. But if you do this, this is a way to absolutely drum up some healthy conversations. Most people will either say, just here for the content, not looking for anything, but the handful that do will absolutely be probably highly qualified for you to to speak to you because they are reaching out to you. So an inbound connection, just to be clear, is somebody saying, hey, I want to be your friend. I want to connect with you. And then if you can reply to them immediately, instead of just saying, thanks for the connection or nothing, do this. These are little plugs that you can use to essentially plug the holes that we have on LinkedIn as a platform. So little screenshot here, if you don't mind, and then let's keep going. So the next thing is to DM people who engage with your content. So something like, hey, thanks for commenting on or liking my post, maybe engaging with my post. I thought you might be interested in, hopefully you have a very specific resource or something that you can offer them. Should I send you a link? And again, you're teasing interest here. You're looking to develop interest, I guess. And if you do this, think about how many, even if it's 5 people liked your post, well, DM them. If only a handful of people do it, you're still, reaching people. If you look at the LinkedIn post that we put up yesterday for this call, for example, we have 1,000 comments in there. Now, what if we could have, if you look at that own process that we used, that you probably saw a little bit of, we added you to this call, to this live class. And it's an opportunity for us to talk to you about hopefully either adding some more value specifically or engaging in a sales call. Again, this is something that's automatable. It's a little hole that most people have that are just leaking people through. And instead of doing that, you can actually have something that people might engage with and give them opportunity to actually say yes to you, even if it's for some of your content, and not directly for a sales call. It could be either or, but it's just another opportunity to engage with the people who want to engage with you. So let's, okay, so I see a lot of questions coming in. Great, I'll get to everything in the Q&A. Now, here's the big one that I want to kind of get into. True cold DMs. So what most people do on LinkedIn is to build a list of their prospects using, whatever data source they have, and then they will put together some sort of very generic invite, maybe a connection note, maybe not, maybe a first message, but it's not really of value to the person. And instead of doing that, what if you were able to say, hey, I noticed this specific thing happening with you, this specific thing really actually happening with you, Mr. Prospect or Mrs. Prospect. We actually recently created this resource to help with it, to solve it, to address it in some capacity. Would you like me to send it your way? If you do this, and I'm going to get exactly into how to identify triggers and build resources really quickly. This is not a long thing. This is something you should be able to implement this week even. Would you like me to send it your way? This is a very nice way to essentially break the ice with some value. I think this is exactly what everybody should be doing in some regard, and basically really trying to build trust, build authority, build value, build a healthy rapport with your prospects up front before just nailing them with some really awful message. Hey, do you want to see my 5-minute demo? Guess what? Nobody does. I don't know you. Why would I? So try something like this, and I'm going to get exactly into the whole process here, but I'm going to get into everything here. I'm just double checking on the cues here. Let's keep going. I'm going to get into how to actually look for triggers. So triggers are specific, easy to find scenarios to DM people. You've probably heard of trigger events. That's a common term in the B2B space. We're looking for things that we can identify that would be very easy for us to build messaging around. So here are 12 examples of healthy triggers. Again, if you want to take a screenshot, this might help. But these are just 12 out of potentially 100, if not more, triggers. I have a bunch more. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, if you haven't already, just shoot me a DM if you want my longer list of triggers. But these are the most practical ones. These should be familiar because people have been using these for years, but it's only part one of a 1-2 punch. People are not doing the second part of things. So to start with, let's look for some really good triggers that would be relevant for your company. So this could be that, for example, let's say I keep saying CMOs. Let's say that I was targeting CFOs. Then if I see that a CFO at one of my, in my industry has started a new role at a company, well, okay, can I help them, do something in the beginning stages of their new time there? Have they been there for a year or two? You can find this stuff very easily on LinkedIn. Company-related triggers, big news. You can use a tool like Feedly. I use Feedly a lot. Feedly is an RSS feed, which basically provides alerts around companies that I want to target or industries that I want to target. So I'll see big news that comes out. Sometimes the news is very negative. Sometimes the news is very positive. You can use that as a conversation starter, but just be careful with negative news. there's funding, there's product launches, people are hiring. This should be very familiar to you if you're in sales, but just keep in mind that we're looking for specific triggers that we can research. Content and social triggers, this might mean an engagement, a participation in a webinar, what we're doing right now, right? That's a signal of interest to me. Behavioral triggers might be, downloaded your content, viewed your profile, attended a conference, subscribed to you. These should be very, very familiar to you, but I just want to isolate them as specific pieces, okay? And what we can do here is we can look for a handful of repeatable triggers. So let's just use an example for a second. Let's say that, that I'm at a cybersecurity company. If I'm looking for news triggers, this might be data breaches. This might be, security for next year. This could be all kinds of things around basically news. Maybe there's regulations that have come out, privacy issues. There's all kinds of stuff that might be in the news. Again, for ICP, this could be that there's changes in leadership. For events, maybe there's very specific conferences that I can build messaging around that I can either assume that people are going to attend, or if they don't attend, would be interested in hearing about. And then, for example, in marketing, it's probably SaaStr is one of the big ones for us. And then for content types, if we look for big influencer white papers or podcasts or videos, an example of a company that does this really well is Health Gorilla in the health tech space. They will take industry white papers. If for a marketing perspective, maybe it's HubSpot will put out an annual report. You can take that and then repackage it or make it more practical. You can do all kinds of things with that, and then turn it into something really cool to share out with people and sort of say, hey, you probably saw that HubSpot's state of marketing came out last month. We actually did like a bunch of stuff to make this more practical. Would you like me to send it to you? Again, CMO in this case. For a cybersecurity company, it might be something slightly different, but you probably have 3 to 5 natural triggers. Do you have more? Great. If you have fewer, whatever. But I just want you to identify which are the natural ones for you to speak to. For anyone in accounting, tax season is probably a big one. Planning for 2025 is probably a big one for people in 2024 for a lot of companies. Just think of what you have that would be natural for you to build around. Identify those triggers. That's step 1. Okay. I want you to do that as a little mini exercise. Start thinking about it now, and then you'll see what the next step is here. So once we have a couple of triggers, which by the way, you can build if you use Navigator, Sales Navigator in LinkedIn, you can really, really isolate these things and do a great job with list building. So these are things that we know happen, we can predict will happen often. We just want to be able to have the messaging in hand on deck to really, get in touch with people when these things come up, not if, but when. So again, the trigger is not enough by itself. Basically, the prospect is giving you a starting point to be helpful. It's not a starting point to just slam them with messaging. But I want you to think of this part, because this is the part that most people miss. How can you actually help? What can you actually tangibly send them? This is the icebreaker. This is your moment. If you don't break the ice, you're just going to slam up against the wall of ice and not get through. If everybody else, for example, this is a very common one, everybody knows when people raise money, right? So congrats on raising your Series B. Cough, cough. I know you're cash rich right now and you're looking to spend it. You want to talk to me? That's not what we want to send, because that's what everybody else sends. So how do you take that trigger and then actually stand out? That's the big question that hopefully we're going to address right now. So let's keep going here. How are you going to stand out now that you know the trigger? Well, I want you to think about value, and I want you to think that what is something very, very tangible, usually an asset of some sort that will help them solve their problem as quickly as possible, or at least contribute to the solving of that problem in a very tangible way that people will sort of stop and go, oh, wow, this is actually really helpful. And I don't mean that in a fluffy way. I don't mean that. I mean, they literally will say, I have to forward this message or this asset to the rest of my team. This is really good. They want to reply to you and say, hey, this was really helpful. I want that to be your sort of barometer for success. Okay, that's the level that I want you to hit. Value is not, often people go too big or too small. So it's not a huge thing of 100 pages that becomes like homework for the person to read. It's not a 3-hour video course that takes 3 hours to get through and probably is convoluted bunch of nonsense. And it's not, when I say a checklist can be okay, but I don't want a lazy checklist where ChatGPT is sort of spit out 3 things for someone to do that, any expert, again, a leader at a company would be like, yeah, of course I know this. What are you talking about? Instead, I want you to think about something like maybe a 3 to 7 day email course, a 15-minute training video of some sort, a playbook or a template for a specific outcome, or a tutorial maybe to set up something specific. I want you, again, I'm going to keep repeating the word specific. You want to solve a specific and painful problem as efficiently as possible. Please keep that in mind as you come up with the actual assets that you can generate. And again, we're going to get more specific here. So let's keep going here. The other part here is that many people get excited about, oh yeah, we could totally build something ultra valuable for the prospect. And then guess what? They take 3 months and 20 people start getting involved with it. And then they get this bloated project where nothing moves and you end up with sort of an 80% done thing. Nobody really wants to send it out. When you do send it out, maybe it doesn't hit, and I want you to avoid all of that. You probably already have versions of content essentially that probably apply to these problems. So if you're in sales, I would really, really urge you to talk to your marketing team and your CS team and basically say, hey, what's really valuable for people right now? What's our top download? What's our biggest blog post? What's our most viewed video? What are people replying to our marketing emails with and saying, wow, this was super helpful. This was amazing. There's versions of things in there that probably are amazing because they help your target audience solve problems. So what I'm looking for here is I want you to take a look with your company. So check in with your team and see if you can't come up with something that basically already exists that you can just package out. Again, it could be a blog post, that's fine. But you could also take something good that's, again, 90% of the way there and just finish it off with in a day of work. I do not want this to be something super duper fancy and distracting and time consuming. I hate projects like this. And they never go anywhere. Instead, I want you to build quickly and deploy quickly. So how do we build quickly? Well, folks, welcome to 2024, where I think ChatGPT and AI tools in general are defaults. These are rarely good at final versions of things. So I do not suggest you just copy paste what you get out of ChatGPT to anything. But I do think that there, especially ChatGPT and Claude, are incredible strategy tools. I really want to hammer that home. This isn't about copy paste one prompt and then you're done. I think it's going to get there. But right now it's about taking these tools, using them for strategy development, for sussing out some good ideas. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples now, and then hopefully come up with helpful things for you to actually work on. So let's go through this. Again, get ready to screenshot. This is going to be hopefully it's legible because it's a little bit small. Here's the prompt that I am going to be walking you through. Again, if you want to take it and edit it and go, kind of ham, if you understand why it's built this way, by all means, use it as a starting point. But I'm going to go through an example or a couple examples now. What it is basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially I am building these LinkedIn DM frameworks to target specific ICPs at specific times with specific value. I'm this company, I'm selling to this company. You use the actual URLs, especially if you're using 4.0. And thank you. Good call. Very good call. Let me see if I can move my face. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy paste things into chat so you actually have the prompt. So number one, maybe like that, you can actually screenshot it a little bit better. So even though it's small, you can screenshot and zoom in, but I'll also see if this will, the whole thing is not going to come through in chat. So actually, let me see. Okay. It came through in a couple of messages. So you should have it in chat and you should be able to screenshot it right here. So take a second, do that, and then I'm going to get back to my explanation of it. So, or actually, maybe I'll just do it from here. So the idea here is we're isolating an ICP. We're looking for a specific trigger. We're looking for a specific struggle that's associated with that trigger. And then we're looking to develop some sort of valuable asset. These things, again, I don't want it to suggest demos. I don't want it to suggest sales calls. I want it to be a lead magnet style tangible asset that the person can actually implement immediately. So this is one example output. There's much better in my upcoming examples with ChatGPT, which I have open here, which I'll show you in a second. But basically, congrats on your new role in this example as CMO at this company. You probably need some quick wins to help. I'd love to offer free access to our tool and a roadmap to uncover low-hanging fruit in your marketing. Would you like to check it out? That is a better message because it's highly relevant and it speaks to specific value and specific, I guess, deliverables to the prospect. I personally would much rather receive a message like this that offers me something tangible that's connected to a problem that I'm likely experiencing, that shows some thought, that shows some effort. That is what actual personalization is. It's relevancy. It's not that, oh, Dan, I noticed you're wearing a yellow shirt today. Guess what, buddy? I got a marketing tool for you. I don't want that stuff. I want things that are highly relevant to what I'm actually experiencing at work. Okay. So that's what this is the basic idea of the prompt. And I'm going to show you a couple ways that we're going to step through 2 or 3 steps, I suppose, with this prompt to actually come up with good stuff. So you guys ready? Yes. Yes, Matthew, you can absolutely use the screenshot as well directly. So let's get into this. Let's see, which example should we walk through first? I'm going to start with Square and then move to Gong. So I'm going to, and then if anybody wants to do this live with me right now, if you have your company and you can isolate one target company that you're selling to, if you can put it in chat, your URL and your target company's URL, we'll run it through the prompt here together. I'll just do 1 or 2 examples just to show you that this is not something that I'm just reverse engineering or whatever. We'll do it live. So if you have, if you want to do it here, drop your company and, oh yeah, sure thing. Let me zoom in. Good call. So let's zoom in a little more here. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. So I grabbed a cybersecurity company here called UpGuard and saying that I was selling to to Square. That's their website, is SquareUp. I forgot that for a sec. So I put in the prompt. Everything else is the same as you saw. And then what it spat out was basically, okay, well, here are a bunch of examples. An IT manager who's concerned about preventing future breaches because a breach happened recently. And then they have a security checklist. I'm just going to rip through these in a second because I want to get to the next step. So it basically comes up with specific messaging that's not bad. I think it needs a light edit, but it's kind of there. You know, if there is a compliance gap framework, these are basically ideas for you to then turn around and develop, which you can also do in ChatGPT in about 30 minutes, I would say. And I want you to look through basically a quantity like this, 5 of them, 10 of them, 15 of them, to come up with what are the ones that are actually relevant to my company. What are the ones that give me ideas to turn around to marketing as a salesperson and say, actually, this would be killer if I had this tool and it sounds relatively easy to do. Hey, marketing, can you just make this for me? Or, you know, again, cough, cough, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, go to ChatGPT in a separate thread and say, hey, I want to build a compliance framework or whatever for this company. What would it look like? Keep it, you know, 1 page and consumable in less than 15 minutes. Boom, you're going to get something great. So again, here, a product manager who's dealing with some recent negative feedback. Okay, that's highly potentially relevant. So I work with product managers I work with often juggle resolving issues while maintaining user trust. Be happy to share a playbook we created for addressing security-related feedback. Well, I mean, this to me is killer. This is the thing. Out of all 5 of them, I'd say if this one stands out, I would absolutely be targeting people at Square with this kind of a playbook if I was a cybersecurity company. This is really good. So that's what I want you to, that's level 1. Level 1 already should be very, very helpful for everybody here to just use, deploy, generate, and see what you come up with, okay? Now, level 2 is, I then said, can you research the internet for real potential trigger events at Square that have happened in the last 90 days that would be relevant to a salesperson at UpGuard? And then it researches the internet. Again, you have to have 4.0 to do this. It's $20 a month. It's the best thing I pay for. And it comes up with this. So Square recently, so it didn't really follow my rules about the last 3 months. This happened in 2023 with a security service outage. Okay, so, but it's still maybe semi-relevant. They launched a new platform here. Well, okay, that's pretty relevant again. I have a checklist designed for thorough security assessment during product development. Again, this is highly relevant. So this is using the company's actual stuff, essentially, actual news, actual people, actual whatever. And I'm going to tease this here. Kyle and I are working on something crazy as a next level AI, basically prompt inside of ChatGPT. Here's the second level 2 prompt, so that you have it in chat. And if anybody wants this stuff, if you just connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll send you the chat so that you can, because I have a bunch of these chats and I'll send you all of them. So I'm going to keep going here. Okay. And you can see that again, it's targeting different personas that would make sense to these people. And it is, again, I think coming up with relevant ideas for you to build on. So quick check-in here before we move on. Is this helpful for people? Just drop in a yes or a no if this is useful for you here. And I'm going to keep going here because there's a couple more examples. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Gong for a second. And again, I put in these prompts targeting Gong, pretending to be from Salesforce, and it came up with these, that Gong's launched a new product in the last 30 days. These are not researched yet. So again, I had to ask it again, level 2 to do the research. But hypothetically, if there's a new product that's launched recently, we have an idea, a free playbook for high impact product launches. Again, that's pretty relevant. Hypothetically, a round of funding, what would you do? Ramping up sales enablement programs without overloading your team. Would you like that? I would imagine that this is a real issue here. So that you can address. So once I've said all this, please research the internet for potential trigger events at Gong that have happened in the last 90 days and that would be relevant to a salesperson at Salesforce. And then here we go. It's unveiled new AI tools. Maybe we can lock into that. I don't think it's the strongest thing, but it's an idea. It's launched, it's surpassed the customer level. That's great. But there's one on here that's even better. Oh, I thought this was interesting. So usually whenever I see these like AI breakthrough awards, I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, oh, it's one of these like pay to play or pay for play things. And I don't really think they're great. But the idea here would be to share a toolkit to help integrate industry awards into your marketing campaigns to enhance brand visibility and drive lead generation. I really, really like this idea. And the reason that it's so strong to me is it's so specific. It's saying, I know that this happened. Great. So instead of the usual LinkedIn DM would say, congratulations on making this list. Congratulations. It's incredible. You're amazing. Wow. Hey, do you want to get on a sales call? And instead of that, I would like you to think about, okay, well, it's still something. Instead of saying congratulations, jump sales call, can we actually try to do something helpful for them? And again, this is repeatable if your prospects often get on lists like this, which if you're selling to SMB or enterprise, the answer is probably yes. So again, you can go deeper with this. I ask it to go for more compelling value, for example. This is just, I want to show you how I use AI and how I use ChatGPT specifically here to dig a little bit deeper and look for more compelling things if you think it's just a little bit weak. These are meant to be useful tools. These are meant to be conversations that people actually have with ChatGPT to guide it. And I think people give up too early because a single prompt just doesn't work fantastically. So with that said, I'm going to jump into Q&A here in a second, but these are really good. Again, if you'd like these, just connect with me on LinkedIn. You find me pretty easily, Dan McDermott. And I see a bunch of people have popped in some stuff here, so I'm gonna jump into here and start answering them. So let me go back to my my StreamYard over here and start. Oh, whoops, I'm just not do that. Okay. Let me go to here and then start answering questions for you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep this prompt open because just in case this is good stuff. Before I do, I almost forgot. So I'm doing some free stuff for people. I've done this in the past and a lot of people engaged, but this time I'm doing a ChatGPT build. Usually I do cold email rewrites, but if you want to work with me and just kind of get a prompt run through with you, I'm doing this for free. I have to ask that it's only leaders at companies. So if you're a CEO, a founder, that type of person, that's what I'm looking for here. And if you get on a call with me, I'll help you basically adapt this to your use case and build it with you, for you on a call and give you something tangible that you can actually take away and use with your team to contact people. And then you can do that here. And then real quick, again, before we get into Q&A, I have to repeat this. The survey is super important to us. And Kyle takes this stuff super duper seriously. Please check this out. And let me copy this in. This is the survey. Please fill it out. It's really important to us. I really can't stress this enough. This isn't some BS thing that we just put out and just say, oh yeah, it's there if you want to do it. This means a ton to us and to me specifically. If this was not helpful for you, say it. Be honest. If this is helpful for you, there's much deeper stuff that we can do here. So let me ask you to do that, please. And then with all that, I will. I appreciate you saying that, Lydia. So let's let's go through this. Yeah, a bunch of people who've been repeat on here have talked to me in the past. I like to leave you with something real that you can actually use, and kind of go from there. And then here, if you have future events that you'd like to come to, it's voris.com/events. Kyle is going to be hosting most of them. I'm going to pop up every so often with something related to copy usually. And then, again, please fill out that survey, because that's how we actually create, how Kyle actually creates events in the future. So with that said, let's get into Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and highlight some of the stuff that has come up, and let us go into all this. I appreciate that, Steve. So let's go into some of the questions. Okay, I'm going to go all the way up top here and see. Guith, I hope you're saying your name right. Saying, what's your average response rate on these? So I assume on some of the basically when somebody engages with your content and then you're supposed to send them a DM. I would say within a day. If you automate it, it should be immediate. The quicker the better is the short version. And then if you are running a company, the easy way to do it is usually have a VA trained in this. And it's a pretty simple process, but it's one that needs to be executed consistently and seriously. And if you can do it the same day, that's where the most juice for the squeeze is. The faster, the better. And there are some fantastic semi-automatable tools. Like I said, Phantom Buster, you can actually load this in and have it do it immediately, at least for most of these. And so there's a bunch of tools out there, and suggest doing some research. So let's go on here. Jack, what's a realistic strategy to stay on top of that 30-day rule? So the 30-day rule, well, I would very easily just say, like, batch your stuff and connect with people on the first of the month, and then, or just have it rolling if you want, and just check in, 30 days later with another message. And hopefully in that time, you've actually watched what they're doing, you've connected with them, you're looking at what they do on LinkedIn, and you're taking notes. That's a simple version. There's probably a more sophisticated way, but that's how I would do it. So real quick, Aaron, is there going to be a recording? There might be one. I'm not really sure. We usually don't. And the reason is people just come over the recordings and don't pay attention. And that's the real reason. I want these to be valuable. And that's also a two-way street with you guys asking, locked in questions. So let's go in. Ronan answered this question. What are CXO? It is a C-suite person. Thank you, Ronan. Let's see. Ronan also says, when you send connection requests, do you send it with or without a message? I usually send no note. If I see something ultra relevant, I might mention it, but I don't think it matters personally. And let's see here. Oops. So Brian, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10, there isn't any trigger event besides a promotion or buyout, and these require giving them some time to settle into the new role or company. What's a good go-to message we can send out in bulk, or do you feel like bulk messaging is just messy? You can send out a bulk message if you want, but in my opinion, like, you're sort of just wasting your bullets. And if you're getting it, look, if it's working for you, great. But most companies have such a low response rate that it just doesn't make sense. So I would suggest that you are, again, knowing what you can prepare for, and then being able to deploy that message when the time comes. That's kind of why I like having this stuff on deck, where I can say it's it's 6 months into the year. It's, the fiscal year is ending. There's timing based stuff. I see, if somebody is new to their role, I absolutely think that the first 90 days of somebody's role is high pressure time. Can you help them? They're making decisions about new software. They're probably ending old things. They want to make their mark on the company. It's also very, very good, attractive time. So let's keep going here. Ronan says that Claude is better than ChatGPT for writing. It sometimes is. I think you should use both, and just, Claude's free version is great. So let's keep going here, and some very helpful feedback from people. And let us see here. Can you use my offering as an example, Vicky, an AI operations tool? If you pop your URLs in, Vicky, for your URL, and then a specific target company that you're after, send that to me and I'll do it. And let's keep going here. Okay, so we got our first person coming in with John Magro. Oh, John, do you know Cam? I feel like you and Cam might know each other. All right, let's see here. Let me see. How do I actually type this in without losing it? Let me go back to here. I'm going to grab the prompt and going to create a new chat. And then let's put in our 2 URLs here and see what it comes up with. I think you guys are rather new, so it might have a little bit of trouble really identifying what you do, but let's see. www.ai emitiq.com. And then my company is https://www.clyro.ai. And let's see what comes up here. So again, this might be a little bit new, but let's see what if it comes up with anything relevant. So again, this has done no research. It's just saying that hypothetically, I understand what these companies do, which is pretty impressive by itself. So some basic research maybe. But the first idea is a template for creating effective outbound sales playbooks. So as somebody who has written sales playbooks for this space, this is a very useful thing that everybody, for most companies in our space, is probably our highest download. People have a great demand for these, especially if it's specific. So again, that's an example. I think that's a highly relevant one to use. And then I'm going to say, so again, onboarding guide. You probably have quite a few things that Voris has done also that would line up. So I'd suggest looking at there. Maintaining code quality, so a toolkit for implementing light code review processes. That might be good. Not sure if that's highly relevant for you, but let me know. And then a plug and play email sequence designed to making this part easier, the value of partnership. So maybe this is helpful. I think that this is actually could be really good for you guys because based on what I know about Cam, I think that he's very good at writing this kind of stuff. So, but by nature, it might be good. I hope this helps. Let me know. And I'm going to keep going here. And by the way, if anybody missed the prompts or anything, just message me on LinkedIn. I'll send you everything you need. So need to see who else is on here. Brian, I'm going to grab yours. And I'm going to go to the two prompts here. I'm going to delete these guys. And again, if you'd like me to do yours, you can always send me on LinkedIn and I'll shoot you a quick video just doing it quickly. But let me just kind of go here because I actually want to answer real questions too as well here. So http:// I forget the S / www.roostedhr.com. And then I'm selling to https://smiledoctors.com/. Let's see what this comes up with. Okay, so HR directors at Smile Doctors, great. The struggle is hiring enough qualified candidates quickly to staff the new locations. That's okay. That's super specific. I saw it's opening a new location. That's easy to find out. I have a guide specifically for dental clinics streamlining hiring during expansions. Do you see how when you get ultra specific like this, it just by nature helps the quality of the thing that you're trying to create, of the message you're trying to send, of the connection you're trying to create with somebody? So I think that's really, really powerful. So talking about a recent article with growth, well, maybe there's a checklist about basic operations. Like this is really good stuff. Like Brian, like I think that if you want this, I'll send it over to you. You also have the prompt, you can do it yourself. But this is very, very tangible that you can create. I put together an email sequence to boost retention and keep patients coming back. This is literally something that I've done in the past. I've literally done this. I know it works, and ChatGPT is coming up with it. I mean, to me, that's incredible. So I would really, really consider that here. So I'm gonna keep going here and look at a couple more folks. So Ronan's mentioned one of the tools, which is Meet Alfred. Wow, Meet Alfred is still around. That's funny. That's fantastic, Ronan. Great suggestion. I didn't know they were still around as a company, but that's great if they work well. So let's keep going here. You just go here. Hinders. I don't know why the full message is not showing up, but let me keep going here. So Douglas, do you recommend automated tools like Dripify to manage this through SalesNav? Yes, basically, if you have the tools and you can set it up, by all means do. Yeah, Douglas, if you know how to use them, great. I wanted to do this in a way that would make it easy for anybody to basically execute for free, but then there are tools out there for sure that can be implemented. So please, by all means, if you know the space, jump in. So Steve Holden, you're asking in the first cold email, I don't ask for their time, simply their opinion and feedback. Do you agree with this? After that, include a calendar invite. So Steve, for a cold email, what you're doing is great. This is for LinkedIn DMs. You can probably build emails like this. I don't say anything wrong with that. I actually think it's not a bad idea, but I'm really focused on LinkedIn DMs for this particular sequence. So let's keep going here. And so John, and let's keep going here. Okay, so okay. I think I've gotten through most of the questions. I'm going to go through. Oh, thank you so much, Lydia, or Luke, for dropping my my LinkedIn profile there. Thank you. Now, again, I'm going to post our little survey here one last time. It is super duper important. And again, I hope this was helpful for everybody. Do you have any other questions aside from running through the chat prompt in that level 1 and level 2? Anything else come up to you that I can talk to about LinkedIn DMs in general, or building off of AI and building content for those LinkedIn DMs specifically? So let's see here. So Riley, how do we recover after we've pitched? Is there any other, after we pitch left, is there any follow-up message we could send to try to mend that relationship, or is it just a loss? No, that's a great question, Riley. And in sales, nothing is ever a loss, right? Everything's always recoverable to some degree, unless somebody actually says no, right? But if you are up for it, I mean, I think that a simple script might be something like, let's say that the first one was, hey, do you want to get on a call? Like it ends with something like that. Hey, do you want to get on a sales call? Do you want to get on a demo? Well, if you can think about that as your last message, and they don't reply to you, there's nothing wrong with you following up and saying, hey, we actually put something together that I think you'd find really useful. This is a blank that helps blank. And this might follow this script back up here that I can point you to. Whoops. Let me see, where is it? Yeah, so let's take this script, the engagement script, as one we can kind of bounce off of. So instead of this first line, you might say, hey Bob, thought you might be interested in our our guide to whatever. Should I send you the link? You could send something like that. Or frankly, you could take one of these outputs and you could say something like, kill the beginning of it and say something like, hey, I'd love to offer you this free access. Hey, I have a roadmap for you. Basically, just cut to this. You've already made the intro. Maybe it's not the best intro in the world, but it's your opportunity to say, okay, well, forget it. Let's just hope that the next thing that I'm sending them is so relevant and so sexy and so amazing for them that they're going to go, okay, weird intro, man, but all right, let's see what you got. So hopefully you can do something around that. Just focus on building that really specific thing that might be good for them. The other point here is, even if it's not perfectly relevant for them immediately, people appreciate the fact that you have specificity. And even if it's not for me right now, I might go, oh, actually, I don't need that right now, but that's really cool that you have this. Thank you. At least creates a good rapport, a good feeling with people that you can end on. So let's keep going here and say, all right. So these LLMs are good, Gautam says, but I'd follow normal search we were accustomed to for more precise engagements. Yeah, I mean, highly disagree. I could not disagree more, but that's fine. I mean, if what's working for you is working, wonderful. By all means, this stuff nothing is set in stone here. These are tools that are meant to be sort of explored. So I highly suggest you at least try these things. And if you don't like the outputs, don't use them. But in my humble opinion here, they work well for everything that I've tried, every industry that I've tried. Sean, the prompt is up in chat if you just scroll up. So Jeff, what would you be focusing on more, LinkedIn or email communication on initial outreach? Good question. Frankly, I don't think it matters. I tend to lean towards email as my default, with LinkedIn sprinkled on top of it. A lot of people are very big fans of multi-channel outreach, and you might think of an email as the fundamental piece of your messaging, with your LinkedIn as being, hey, okay, you're not really paying attention to my email, but maybe I can catch you on LinkedIn with something really, really awesome. Okay, that's where I would approach it. So let's go here. Brian, as sales guys, how should we market ourselves on LinkedIn? As in, do we sell our product or on our page, or keep it almost like a personal brand to avoid being spammy? It's a good question, Brian, but I think that there's a healthy middle ground. To be clear, I don't think that everybody should be social selling. So I don't think that every junior sales rep who's just started their career with no experience needs to be writing content on LinkedIn that's thought leadership and saying, oh, I'm going to tell you all how to do this amazing stuff because I know everything. It obviously doesn't come across as real. So what I would look at is where is your expertise? Because Brian, I know you have much of experience. What is your expertise in the space that you play in? I can tell you that mine as a sales guy, when I was at a clean tech firm, I was not the engineer, I was not the technical person, but I had enough domain knowledge because I was friends with all the engineers of the company, because I knew I was reading all the right stuff, where somebody, a customer that was relevant to us might be asking questions about what's the right, I don't know anything about solar energy, for example, and I'm trying to build something for this is an actual story, for the parking lot of my bank. Where should I look? There's so many things out there. It's overwhelming. What should I look for? And my answer was, actually, I just came back from a site in New Mexico, and we used this and this tool. You might find it helpful. And that ended up leading to a very good outcome. So I would look for what are your areas of domain knowledge that you can speak to. You don't have to create killer content. You don't have to create daily content, but just you can speak a little bit to it and building yourself as a reputable salesperson, as a bit of an industry expert, maybe, or developing industry expert in that space for people who you want to get in front of. So if people research you, do they see content that they go, oh, Brian really knows his stuff? That's really it. So let's keep going here. And then we're going to wrap up in a little bit and see what's up next. So Ronan, yeah, that's not a bad message, Ronan. Clearly, you've sent some sales messages for sure. So Ronan's messages: guess my pitch slap didn't work. Sorry for jumping the gun. I actually have something that could be valuable for you. Open to me sending it over. I get specific about what that valuable thing is, but I love that message, Ronan. Great, love it. Luke, let's see here. So yes, LinkedIn's algo absolutely does promote industry experts. It basically hits you for anything with links and anything with obvious CTAs like, hey, book a call with me here. And so I feel like just don't do that stuff. I hope that's obvious, but if it's not, my apologies. I should have maybe outlined that clearer. But I want you to think about basically what can you write that is helpful, and that's really the question. What is your prospect struggling with right now? What can you do to help them? It sounds a little cheesy, but that's the best way to create content, literally. Okay, so let's keep going. Days and times. Luke, I knew somebody was going to ask this. The best days and times to DM somebody. My easy answer is don't worry about it. Do it during work hours, during the work week. That's it. I'm sure there's optimization that you could test, but for most people, they get lost in the weeds with that stuff. Do it in a weekday morning. There. Okay. Grace asked to use LinkedIn voice memos or videos. Any successes? I've used videos for a couple of things, and they seem to be okay, like LinkedIn outreach. Loom videos on LinkedIn seem to be okay in some of the messages. But I wouldn't go crazy with it. If you're good at video, basically lean into it. If you're not, don't start with a huge struggle with yourself that's going to take you nowhere. Okay, it's really lean into your strengths is my point. Let's keep going here. Chelsea, do you have any advice for what to do when you've used up your email credits and still want to reach out to more prospects? Look, if it's working for you, pay for it. I mean, in my opinion, like these tools, pay for a month. You're going to be out, what, $40? It's worth testing. And if it really doesn't work for you after 3 months of it, then kill it. Don't pay for it. But I would suggest that most of us who are working for companies can probably get things expensed and pay for the tools that would theoretically make sense for you to use. So as long as you use it, pay for it. And you should, these people sometimes get a little bit precious. I'm not saying that you're doing that, but sometimes people get a little bit precious about paying for things when I think that these tools are literally built for the platform. And, I would imagine that most of these platforms also reward people who use the paid tools. I don't know that, but I think that's true. So let's keep going here. Let's go and okay, so let's go. Let's see here, Ronan. People bored at home and on their phones. This is why LinkedIn messaging like WhatsApp can be really useful. That's absolutely true, Ronan. That's a fantastic point. So maybe I haven't done enough of that now that you say that. I've typically done things on LinkedIn when people are on LinkedIn, but it's very true. I've gotten messages where it's odd hours. I've gone to the bathroom in the middle of the night, maybe a little TMI there, but I've gotten messages that I read there. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, cool. As long as it's a good message, that's what matters. I would put 99% of your effort into the good message development. Worry about these little kind of niceties about timing and about titles and about all that stuff later. Okay. So I hope this helped, guys, and I really, really appreciate everybody coming. This was a long session today. Appreciate you staying with me if you did. And if you have any questions, you'd like any of the resources, just connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me there, and I'll send you everything in terms of the prompts and all that stuff. So hope that helped. And again, please fill out the survey. Again, hands and knees here. Well, just knees, begging, please, begging, fill it out. And we will continue to build out hopefully valuable stuff for you folks for the future. Okay, great. Ronan, I'd love to see more of your messages. You're really good. This is really good stuff. Take care, folks. Speak soon. We will hopefully. Well, Kyle, we'll see you next week, and I'll be around in the background. And speak soon. Bye, guys.